Hello and welcome back to the reading of the Holy Bible. We will be doing Numbers chapter 21, 22, 23, and 24 today. As some of you may have noticed, there was a couple of audio issues last time. For that, I apologize. So hopefully this time there will not be any cats that happen to come along halfway through and change the audio settings, or if they are, I will get them off and notice immediately. So I do apologize for that. So without any further ado, let us begin with Numbers chapter 21. King Arad is overcome. And when King Arad the Canaanite, who dwelt towards the south, had heard this, to wit, that Israel was come by the way of the spies, he fought against them, and overcoming them carried off their spoils. But Israel, binding himself by vow to the Lord, said, If thou wilt deliver this people into my hand, I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord heard the prayers of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanite, and they cut them off and destroyed their cities. And they called the name of that place Hormah, that is to say, Anathema. Chapter 21, verse 3. Anathema, an example, a thing devoted to utter destruction. Plague of fiery serpents. And they marched from Mount Hor to by the way that leadeth to the Red Sea, to compass the land of Edom. And the people began to be weary of their journey and labor. And speaking against God and Moses, they said, Why didst thou bring us out of Egypt, to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, nor have we any waters. Our soul now loatheth this very light food. Wherefore the Lord sent among the people fiery serpents, which bit them and killed many of them. Very light food. So they called the heavenly manna. Similarly, worldlings loathe the things of heaven, for which they have no relish. Fiery serpents. They are so called because they were bitten by them. Because they that were bitten by them were burnt with a violent heat. People healed by a brazen serpent. Upon which they came to Moses, and said, We have sinned, because we have spoken against the Lord and thee. Pray that he may take away these serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said to him, Make a brazen serpent, and set it up for a sign. Whoever being struck shall look on it shall live. Moses therefore made a brazen serpent, and set it up for a sign, which when they were bitten, looked upon, they were healed. A brazen serpent. This was a figure of Christ crucified, and of the effigy of a lively faith in him against the bites of the hellish serpent. John chapter 3, verse 14. The Israelites reached the Arnon, and the children of Israel, setting forwards, camped in Oboth, and departing thence they pitched their tents in Jabarim, in the wilderness, and faceth Moab toward the east. And removing from thence, they came to the torrent Zarad, which they left and encamped over against Arnon, which is in the desert, and standeth out on the borders of the Amorite. For Arnon is the border of Moab, dividing the Moabites and the Amorites. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, As he did in the Red Sea, so will he do in the streams of Arnon. The rocks of the torrents were bowed down, that they might rest in Ar, and lie down in the borders of the Moabites. They find a well. When they went from that place, the well appeared, whereof the Lord said to Moses, Gather the people together, and I will give them water. Then Israel sung the song, Let the well spring up. They sung thereto, the well which the princes dug, and the chiefs of the people prepared by the direction of the lawgiver, and with their staffs, and they marched from the wilderness to Mathana, from Mathana unto Nahaliel, from Nahaliel unto Bamoth, unto Bamoth. From Bamoth is a valley in the country of Moab, to the top of Phasca, which looked towards the desert. Verse 14, the Book of the Wars, an ancient book which, like several others quoted in Scripture, has been lost. The Israelites defeat the Amorites. And Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, I beseech thee that I may have leave to pass through thy land. We will not go aside into the fields or the vineyards. We will not drink waters of the wells. We will go the king's highway till we be past thy borders. And he would not grant that Israel should pass by his borders, but rather, gathering an army, went forth to meet them in the desert, and came to Jassa, and fought against them. And he was slain by them with the edge of the sword. And they possessed his land from the Arnon unto the Jabbok, and to the confines of the children of Ammon, for the borders of the Ammonites were kept with a strong garrison. So Israel took all his cities, and dwelt in the cities of the Amorite, to wit, in Heshbon, and in the villages thereof. Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who fought against the king of Moab, and took all the land that had been of his dominions as far as the Arnon. Therefore it is said in the proverb, Come into Hesebon, let the city of Sihon be built and set up. A fire is gone out of Hesebon, a flame from the city of Sihon, and hath consumed Ar the Moabites, and the inhabitants of the high places of the Arnon. Woe to thee, Moab! Thou art undone. O people of Chamos, he hath given his sons to flight, and his daughters into captivity to Sihon, the king of the Amorites. Their yoke is perished from Hesebon unto Dibon. They came weary to Nophi and unto Medeba. Israel dwells in the land of the Amorites. So Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites, in the land of the Amorite, and Moses sent home to take a view of Jazer, and they took the villages of it and conquered the inhabitants. King Og is destroyed, and they turned themselves and went up by the way of Basan, and Og, the king of Basan, came against them with all his people to fight in Edrei. And the Lord said to Moses, Fear him not, for I have delivered him, and all his people, and his country into thy hand, and thou shalt do to him as thou didst to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, the inhabitant of Hesebon. So they slew him also with his sons and all his people, not letting anyone escape, and they possessed his land. Chapter 22. Balak asked Balaam to curse the Israelites, and they went forward and encamped in the plains of Moab, over against where Jericho is situate beyond the Jordan. And Balak, the son of Zippor, seeing all that Israel had done to the Amorite, and that the Moabites were in great fear of him, and were not able to sustain his assault, he said to the elders of Midian, So will this people destroy all that dwell in our borders, as the ox is wont to eat the grass to the very roots? Now he was at that time king in Moab. He sent therefore messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, a soothsayer, who dwelt by the river of the land of the children of Ammon, to call him and to say, Behold, a people is come out of Egypt, that hath covered the face of the earth, sitting over against me. Come therefore and curse this people, because it is mightier than I, if by any means I may beat them and drive them out of my land. For I know that he whom thou shalt bless is blessed, and he whom thou shalt curse is cursed. Balaam refuses to curse the Israelites, and the ancients of Moab and the elders of Midian went with the price of divination in their hands. And when they were come to Balaam, and had told them all the words of Balak, he answered, Tarry here this night, and I will answer whatsoever the Lord shall say to me. And while they stayed with Balaam, God came to him and said to him, What mean these men that are with thee? He answered, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of the Moabites, hath sent to me, saying, Behold, a people that is come out of Egypt that hath covered the face of the land. Come and curse them, if by any means I may fight with them and drive them away. And God said to Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, nor shalt thou curse the people, because it is blessed. And he rose in the morning and said to the princes, Go into your country, because the Lord hath forbid me to come with you. The princes returning said to Balak, Balaam would not come with us. Balak's second message to Balaam. Then he sent money more and more noble than he had sent before. Who when they were come to Balaam, said, Thus saith Balak, the son of Zippor, Delay not to come to me, for I am ready to honor thee, and will give thee whatsoever thou wilt. Come and curse this people. Balaam answered, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot alter the word of the Lord my God, to speak either more or less. I pray you to stay here this night also, that I may know what the Lord will answer me once more. Chapter 22, verse 19, to stay. His desiring them to stay after he had been fully informed already that it was not God's will he should go, came with the inclination he had to gratify Balak for the sake of worldly gain, and this perverse disposition of God punished by permitting him to go, though not to curse the people as he would willingly have done, and suffering him to fall still deeper and deeper into sin, till he came at last to give that abominable counsel against the people of God, which ended in his own destruction. So sad a thing it is to indulge a passion for money. God therefore came to Balaam in the night, and said to him, If these men be come to call thee, arise and go with them, yet so that thou do what I shall command thee. Balaam arose in the morning, and saddling his ass, went with them. An angel stands in Balaam's way. And God was angry, and an angel of the Lord stood in the way against Balaam, who sat on his ass and had 2 servants with him. The ass, seeing the angel standing in the way with a drawn sword, turned herself out of the way and went into the field. And when Balaam beat her and had a mind to bring her again to the way, the angel stood in a narrow place between 2 walls, wherewith the vineyards were enclosed. The ass, seeing him, thrust herself close to the wall and bruised the foot of the rider. But he beat her again, and nevertheless the angel, going on to a narrow place where there was no way to turn aside either to the right hand or to the left, stood to meet him. And when the ass saw the angel standing, she fell under the feet of the rider, who, being angry, beat her sides more violently with a staff. Balaam's ass speaks. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said, What have I done to thee? Why strikest thou me, lo, now this 3rd time? Open the mouth. The angel moved the tongue of the ass to utter these speeches to rebuke by the mouth of a brute beast the brutal and inexcusable fury and folly of Balaam. Balaam answered, Because thou hast deserved it, and hast served me ill. I would I had a sword, that I might kill thee. The ass said, Am not I thy beast, on which thou hast been always accustomed to ride until this present day? Tell me if I ever did the like thing to thee. But he said, Never. The angel rebukes Balaam. Forthwith the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel standing in the way with a drawn sword, and he worshipped him, falling flat on the ground. And the angel said to him, Why beatest thou thy ass 3 times? I am come to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse and contrary to me. Perverse, because thy inclinations are wicked, in being willing for the sake of gain to curse the people of whom I am the guardian. And unless the ass had turned out of the way, giving place to me and to me who stood against thee, I had slain thee, and she should have lived. Balaam said, I have sinned, not knowing that thou didst stand against me. And now if it displeases thee that I go, I will return. The angel said, Go with these men, and see thou speak no other thing than what I shall command thee. He went therefore with the princes. Balak shows Balaam the camp of the Israelites. And when Balak heard it, he came forth to meet him in a town of the Moabites, that is situate in the uttermost borders of Arnon. And he said to Balaam, I sent messengers to call thee. Why didst thou not come immediately to me? Was it because I am not able to reward thy coming? He answered him, Lo, here I am. Shall I have power to speak any other thing but that which God shall put in my mouth? So they went on together and came into a city that was in the uttermost borders of his kingdom. And when Balak had killed oxen and sheep, he sent presents to Balaam and to the princes that were with him. And when morning was come, he brought him to the high places of Baal, and he beheld the uttermost part of the people. Chapter 23. Balak's sacrifice. And Balaam said to Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare as many calves and the same number of rams. And when he had done according to the word of Balaam, they laid together a calf and a ram upon every altar. And Balaam said to Balak, Stand a while by thy burnt offering until I go, to see if perhaps the Lord will meet me, and whatsoever he shall command, I will speak to thee. Balaam talks with God, and when he was gone with speed, God met him. And Balaam, speaking to him, said, I have erected 7 altars, and have laid on every one a calf and a ram. And the Lord put the word in his mouth, and said, Return to Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. Balaam blesses the Israelites. Returning, he found Balak standing by his burnt offering with all the princes of the Moabites, and taking up his parable, he said, Balak, king of the Moabites, hath brought me from Aram, from the mountains of the east. Come, said he, and curse Jacob. Make haste and detest Israel. How shall I curse him whom God hath not cursed? By what means should I detest him whom the Lord detesteth not? I shall see him from the tops of the rocks, and shall consider him from the hills. This people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, and know the number of the stock of Israel? Let my soul die the death of the just, and my last end be like to them. Balak again asked Balaam to curse Israel. And Balak said to Balaam, What is this that thou dost? I sent for thee to curse my enemies, and thou contrariwise blessest them. He answered them, Can I speak anything else but what the Lord commandeth? Balak therefore said, Come with me to another place from whence thou mayest see part of Israel, and canst not see them all. Curse them from thence. Balaam again blesses Israel. And when he had brought him to a high place upon the top of Mount Fasca, Balaam built 7 altars, and laying on every one a calf and a ram, he said to Balak, Stand here by thy burnt offering while I go to meet him. When the Lord had met him, and had put the word in his mouth, he said, Return to Balak, and thus thou shalt say to him. Returning, he found him standing by his burnt sacrifice, and the princes of the Moabites with him. And Balak said to him, What hath the Lord spoken? But he, taking up his parable, said, Stand, O Balak, and give ear. Hear, thou son of Sephor. God is not a man that he should not lie, nor as the Son of Man that he should be changed. Hath he said then, and will he not do? Hath he spoken, and will he not fulfill? So I was brought to bless the blessing I am not able to hinder. There is no idol in Jacob, neither is there an image God to be seen in Israel. The Lord his God is with him, and the sound of the victory of the king in him. God hath brought him out of Egypt, whose strength is like to the rhinoceros. There is no soothsaying in Jacob, nor divination in Israel. In their times it shall be told to Jacob and to Israel what God hath wrought. Behold, the people shall rise up as a lioness, and shall lift itself up as a lion. It shall not lie down till it devour the prey, and drink the blood of the slain. Balak asked Balaam neither to bless nor curse Israel. And Balak said to Balaam, Neither curse nor bless them. And he said, Did I not tell thee that whatsoever God should command me that I would do? Balak said to him, Come, and I will bring thee to another place. If peradventure it please God that thou mayest curse them from thence. When he had brought him upon the top of Mount Phagor, which looketh towards the wilderness, Balaam said to him, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare as many calves, and the same number of rams. Balak did as Balaam had said, and he laid on every altar a calf and a ram. Chapter 24. Balaam prophesies prosperity for Israel. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord that he should bless Israel, he went not as he had gone before, to seek divination, but setting his face towards the desert, and lifting up his eyes, he saw Israel abiding in their tents by their tribes, and the Spirit of God rushing upon him. He took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, hath said, The man hath said, whose eye is stopped up. The hearer of the words of God hath said, He that hath beheld the vision of the Almighty, he that falleth, and so his eyes are opened. How beautiful are thy tabernacles, O Jacob, in thy tents, O Israel, as woody valleys, as watered gardens near the rivers, as tabernacles which the Lord hath pitched, as cedars by the waterside. Water shall flow out of his bucket, and his seed shall be in many waters. For Agag his king shall be removed, and his kingdom shall be taken away. God hath brought him out of Egypt, whose strength is like to the rhinoceros. They shall devour the nations that are his enemies, and break their bones, and pierce them with arrows. Lying down he hath slept as a lion, and as a lioness whom none shall dare to rouse. He that blesseth thee shall also himself be blessed. He that curseth thee shall be reckoned accursed. Balak's anger against Balaam. And Balak, being angry against Balaam, clapped his hands together, and said, I called thee to curse my enemies, and thou on the contrary hast blessed them 3 times. Return to thy place. I had determined indeed greatly to honor thee, but the Lord hath deprived thee of the honor designed for thee. The star of Jacob. Balaam made answer to Balak, Did I not say to thy messengers whom thou sentest to me, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God, to utter anything of my own head, either good or evil. But whatsoever the Lord shall say, that I will speak. But yet going to my people, I will give thee counsel, what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. Therefore, taking up his parable again, he said, Balaam, the son of Beor, hath said, The man whose eye is stopped up hath said, The hearer of the words of God hath said, Who knoweth the doctrine of the highest, and seeth the visions of the Almighty? Who falling hath his eyes opened, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not near. A star shall rise up out of Jacob, and a scepter shall spring up from Israel, and shall strike the chiefs of Moab, and shall waste all the children of Seth. And he shall possess Idumea, the inheritance of Seir, shall come to their enemies. But Israel shall do manfully. Out of Jacob shall he come that shall rule, and shall destroy the remains of the city. Balaam's prophecies of doom. And when he saw Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek, the beginning of nations, whose latter ends shall be destroyed. He saw also the Sinite, and took up his parable and said, Thy habitation indeed is strong, but though thou build thy nest in a rock, and thou be chosen of the stock of sin, how long shalt thou be able to continue? For Asser shall take thee captive. And taking up his parable again, he said, Atlas, who shall live when God shall do these things? They shall come in galleys from Italy. They shall overcome the Syrians, and shall waste the Hebrews. And at the last they themselves also shall arise. And Balaam rose and returned to his place. Balak also returned the way that he came. Thank you for joining me for chapter 21, 22, 23, and 24 of Numbers. Join me next week for chapter 25, 26, 27, and 28. Thank you very much for joining me today. You all make sure you have a wonderful week, and God bless.